Shame that we have people and parents who speak out freely. We label it hate speech. Shame in the very idea and fiber of being American. That's what we lived through. And he just said, all right, we're going to erase that. We're going to etch-a-sketch this shit and go back to what we have always been. We used to, or I should say the last few years, and certainly under Obama, remember you were kind of shamed for American success. It's kind of, we don't really deserve it. We have to spread it around. This is a new era. It's a different time. Right? You know what? Maybe we are different from other nations. Maybe the nations who benefit from electricity, light bulbs, the automobile, the internet. You know what? Maybe other nations benefit when we pursue excellence. Kind of like putting on your own oxygen mask first, right? That's what this speech was about. You saw an entirely different outlook. And it just comes down to it really does come down to your worldview. Do you run a company? Have you gone to school? If you're trying to pass a test, did you focus on doing as well on that test as possible? Or did you focus on ensuring that everyone's different preparation methodology was executed so that no one's feelings were hurt? When you run a company, do you say, I want to make this company as effective, as successful as possible? Or, well, I have to make sure that we hit all the demographics, like the Girl Scouts. What do you think will lead to greater success? And do you believe that America should strive to be as successful as humanly possible? And here's the thing. You know that we're different. The left knows that we're different. Do you know how you know? How often have you heard atheists or have you heard the left say, oh, really? Well, you have a very privileged view. You didn't do anything to be born here in America. There are people starving in Africa. All of that is true. All of that is, you just said that we're different. You just said that we're better. You think the world is better off by us cutting ourselves off at the knees? Let me ask you this. I can list you, a laundry list of ways the world is better off and has been better off by the United States being really the world's only significant superpower for over a century now. And none of you would necessarily disagree with it. You'd also have some caveats. You'd also have some negatives, and that would be true too. We haven't been flawless. Can you tell me any way in which the world would be better off if that superpower wasn't the United States? And if so, who replaces it? We all know it's going to be somebody. There's going to be a king of the hill. China? Russia? The UK? The EU? Any nation in Africa? Any nation in Asia? There's going to be someone. There's going to be someone steering the ship. Obviously, it's been the nation that pays over 4% of their GDP into NATO, the only one. The only nation that has the world's greatest peacekeeping force that has ever existed in the United States military. Obviously, it's been us. But we have been on a path that basically is it's predicated on the policy. The Democrat Party in this country, the radical left, really the movement internationally, but certainly in the United States, that has said it shouldn't be us. We shouldn't be in charge. We shouldn't view ourselves as better. We should focus on spreading it because they believe the world is better off. That era is over, and it's an era of, you know what? Let's be as great, as wealthy, as successful as possible because everyone benefits if head honcho is the United States. That's the difference. And you can hear it said now because the left was ashamed of it. It's the difference in shame of your country. You see it not only with DEI, you see it with what was taught in school. You see it with checking your privilege. You see it with the censoring of freedom of speech. You see it with the erosion of our institutions. The institutions, we're talking about intelligence agencies, our institutions going after Americans. Invariably, they were going after patriotic Americans who believe that this country is the greatest country ever. Think about that. Get rid of left and right. When they were going after parents at PTA meetings who didn't believe that there should be boys and girls bathrooms. When Barack Obama was using the IRS to audit Tea Partiers. When they labeled anyone January 6th an insurrectionist, a terrorist. Every single time in the last, let's call it certainly 4 years, but I would also extend it to the Obama administration. Even if you don't agree politically, you would have to acknowledge that our institutions were purging, persecuting, and attacking people who do believe that the United States is the greatest country that's ever existed. Can we agree on that? It'd be hard-pressed to find someone who would say that statement is not correct factually. So at a certain point, you have to ask yourself, why? Why does the persecution only go one way? And why has it always been from the left? And why does your country's institutions that you are demanded to trust persecute the people who believe in preserving the vision and values of America to begin with? We're back to those. No. What we're saying is we're not going to persecute. We're not going to use the IRS, the DOJ, the Department of Education to persecute people who believe that this was the greatest country on earth and want it to be again. Those are not going to be the enemies of the state. The enemies of the state should be the people who actually want to change the state and subvert the state. You know, like do away with the Constitution. First Amendment, Second Amendment. Like do away with the ideas of Western civilization, like the nuclear family. I'm sorry, a byproduct of white patriarchy. The idea of male and female. It sounds like a small thing. I'm really hoping that 20 years from now, people look at this speech and some kids don't even have context for it and go, why would the president have to say there are only two genders? That it'll be a given. And the reason for that is because billions of you, and not just this program, but you're a huge sample size, literally billions of you, tuned in to there are only two genders, changed my mind when no one was allowed to say it. Build a wall. When no one, remember in 2016 when that was considered racist? No one believes it anymore, including people who will be on the other side of that wall. What you just heard was a fundamental shift in tone, and it's really simple. It's America is great, and we should be greater, and we are going to put a focus on excellence versus shame in our nation. That's the change. And you can put everything under those umbrellas. Shame that we believe moms and dads are a thing, male and female is a thing. Shame that we believe success is a good thing. Shame that we've been at the forefront of all ingenuity. Shame that we are the ones, this country, tasked with the responsibility of protecting the free world so that other nations can have free health care and internet and experiment with green technology. Shame. Shame in using our own energy. Shame in having standards that have made our military the greatest that the world has ever known. Shame that we have people and parents who speak out freely. We label it hate speech. Shame in the very idea and fiber of being American. That's what we lived through. And he just said, all right, we're going to erase that. We're going to etch-a-sketch this shit and go back to what we have always been. When people say, oh, the right has moved and the parties have changed, I don't necessarily know that I agree. But I will say one thing. The Democrat Party wasn't always a party that was completely ashamed and wanted to erode the very fiber of America. That's what it's become. And that's what this mandate is. It's a rejection of that. Hey, if you like this video, you should know that there are videos every day because they come from the full live show weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern. If you want more of a sample, you can click this video next to me. I don't know what it is. Could be a change of mind. Could be a debate. It could be one of my appearances on The View. Have your puke bucket.